Greetings everyone, and thank you all for returning to the RobeTheMatoran channel, and this is your first time here, then welcome to the channel. And today, I have a very special video for you all today, and that is the 20th anniversary Bionicle 2004 overview. That's a very long title, I know, but it's the 20th anniversary of 2004 Bionicle, and I meant to do this a while back, so this video was kind of like a long time in the making, because I meant to do this back when I did 2004, reviewed those sets, but I didn't because it's kind of before I even did all that. I just reviewed the sets and then move on to the next year. But now that I start doing that, I felt like what better time to actually get back into go back to do 2004 and 5. So this year, for Bionicle Day, I'm going to do 2004, and next year you can probably guess what I'm going to do for that. But today, 2004 Bionicle overview, let's get into it. There's a lot to go over here, but I will do a quick summation of the story. So Bionicle 2004 was a flashback year. This is just a story that the Turaga tell the TOA and the Matoran on Matu that they were once TOA on the island of Matoran. And this story takes place 1,000 years before the events of 2001 to 3. So this is way back 1,000 years. So that's pretty crazy to think about. So it's just a story about the TOA Metu, how they became the TOA, and they fought several different enemies like the Morbuzak, the Vaki, and the Dark Hunters, and just stuff like that. So just a brief story summation. Like, I'm not gonna get into too much detail because we'll be here for multiple hours if I have to really get into that. So with that, now we're gonna get into the actual sets. For the standard canister sets, which that comprised of the TOA and the Vaki, that's around $8 to $9. The Matorans in the box sets were $4, and the Titans in their box sets were $20 up to $50. So to get all these sets back in 2004, you would just pay about $250. Not too bad for all the sets if you just had that kind of money, but adjusted by inflation and you pay that now in 2024 money, you'll be paying about up to $400 to get all these sets if they were released today. So not too bad. It's just, that's like an extra $200 that you're paying, but not the worst rise in inflation that I've seen. Starting off with the Matorans, there is a fresh new design for all of the Matorans for 2004. Obviously, they're identical in every possible way, but they have some very unique molds and some familiar masks that we've seen. And these are the same masks that the Turaga actually have. As I said before, these are the $4 sets. These are the small sets of the wave, the Matorans as per usual. So if you was on a budget, this would be probably the ones that your parents would probably get you back then. But regardless of that, the Matorans have a pretty good design, all things considered. They have this new chest armor piece and these new limb pieces that we will definitely see in many years of Bionicle. And also, they did bring back the Borak feet. So they do have Borak feet, and they bring back the Mata heads. So I guess technically, if you're looking at it like when the sets release, you would just see the Mata heads just before we get to the new specialized heads that we're going to get to in just a moment. But so to look at them all, each of the Matorans, there's not much to say other than, well, they're exactly the same. They have all disc launchers because that's the new collectible of the year, and they just have different colors, but their masks are uniquely different. They do have unique masks. They have dual molded masks, so it's the main dark color, which also this year introduced a lot of dark colors to the Bionicle, I guess. I don't want to say frame, but just catalog of colors to use. So they do have that, and for the masks, they're dual molded. They all have this silvery like top part, and then it kind of molds down into the actual color of what Matoran it is. So I think that's a really nice touch. And yes, this is definitely when Bionicle get into their more darker, edgy phase where they make the colors a bit more muted and it's a lot more gray and silvers going on. But I say for 2004, it's not too bad. It definitely isn't. I I'm kind of in favor of it. I don't completely, I'm not like everyone else that doesn't like it. I'm not too against it. So for right now, I think it's really good. Speaking of darker colors, we now have the TOA Metu, and my goodness, they have gotten darker. These TOA are dark. And here we have the TOA Metu, and like I said just a few moments ago, they are definitely darker colors. Like their whole body is basically just their main color. Their accent color is gray, which I think that is one of the things I don't like. I really don't think they should have had the accent color is gray, because again, I know this year they were trying to mute the colors and make it a bit more darker, a bit more edgy, make it feel like, yeah, this is what the big kids play with, but I just generally think they shouldn't have done that. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Now the muted colors also, I'm not against, but they should have had the brighter accent colors, because you know they're supposed to be TOA, they're supposed to look like good guys, but they still do. Some of them, some of the masks are a little like, I don't know, they don't look quite like necessarily like good righteous heroes. I don't know, just that's just me, maybe that's just me, but they all are identical in every single way, just like the Matorans. They just have a new weapon that's pretty much all exclusive to them except for Mattel. Mattel is the only one that does not have, like, his weapons are not exclusive to him. However, for everyone else, they are pretty exclusive to them. I could be wrong, so please let me know in the comments if I have gotten that wrong, but I do believe they're all exclusive except for Mattel's. Mattel's only weapons that you do see in a couple of other sets afterwards. So, other than the design that they all look identical, they introduce a lot of new pieces that definitely will be seen in many years of Bionicle. Like they continue up until pretty much the end of Bionicle, I believe. And that I am referring to is the infamous Metu legs and arms and feet. They are so like revolutionary to have, because they actually have a lot more flexibility and you could just do a lot more with them. I mean, I guess the Roxy, to be fair, had the very similar function with the elbows and knees, but these pieces are used all the time. The Roxy limbs, they are used a lot, but the TOA Metu limbs are just like, you see them almost in every set. Almost. Not okay, there's some sets you don't see them in. I'm not going to say you see them all the time, but you do see them in every year in Bionicle after this. You do see it at least once, if not multiple times in that year. So the limbs and the feet, like especially like the legs, the arms you see a couple times, you do see them a couple of times, they are brought a lot of times. The feet you definitely see, but the legs, you see that all the time. And the pelvic area, I don't know what you call that, but it's just the part where you connect the legs to, you most certainly see that in practically every standard set and Titan set. So you see those pieces a lot. They're going to be recolored so many times. So I do like how they're brought in a lot of unique pieces and they're used throughout the Bionicle wave. So they're definitely iconic pieces there. Now, another thing, their masks are not exclusive to them, actually. Surprisingly, the masks are not exclusive. We do see these masks a couple of times afterwards. Sometimes just once, and the other times we see them about 3 or 4 times. But we do get to see them, and I did want to discuss the names of the mask real quick. So just to give a quick summary of the mask names and abilities, we have the Huna, which is Mask of Concealment. We have the Rau. I cannot say that name to save my life, but that is the Mask of Translation. And the Mahiki, Mask of Illusions. Then we got the Matatu, Mask of Telekinesis. And the Komau, which is the Mask of Mind Control. And last and certainly not least, the Ruru, Mask of Night Vision, which is kind of a lame mask if you ask me. But these are all great masks, great Kanohi masks actually, and these are supposed to resemble the mask of the Turaga that, you know, the each respective Turaga, but Some of them kind of translate kind of okay with their Turaga forms, but others kind of don't. They just look like completely different masks, but that's just what it is. But they are supposed to be the same mask. They're just, some of them are wildly different from the Turaga versions, but I think that's really cool though. And I forgot to mention that there is 2 more masks that are new, which is the Kiril, which is the mask of regeneration or regenerate, and then you have the Vaki, mask of time. Unfortunately, I do not have that mask yet. If anyone wants to be very kind to me and send me that, however, in the mail, I mean, my socials are in the link in the description, so send me a DM if you just want to be so kind. But anyway, I do not have that mask, so unfortunately I can't show it here today. The Vaki, however, is a very legendary mask. It's one of the 3 great legendary masks. Like, this is definitely one of the most powerful masks in the Matoran universe, so this is definitely a very important mask to have, and I hate that I do not have it to show you all. So, and with that, let's now take a look at the Vaki and their very identical builds except for color scheme. Now with the Vaki, I actually really do like them. I really come around to their design in the past few years, because I used to not really like them, but I think now I actually do appreciate them a lot more. However, there are some things that I do find a bit less than desirable. Like, they're a bit gappy and they don't have a lot of armor. They don't really look very, like, they're not very bulky or broad, you know, they're very spindly and thin, like, and I guess it goes with the aesthetic of, like, they can, with their little gimmicky function, they can transform into like a spider. And I know with the Borak, they can roll up in balls, and I guess they were trying to capture that, like, oh, they have a function, they can transform too, but the Borak did it just far better. But I will say the Vaki do introduce a lot of pieces, like the Borak did. They have the new Vaki limbs, and in various different colors, and we will see these limbs in mini sets for the upcoming years of Bionicle. They are very synonymous with Bionicle. Like, I see these pieces and I instantly think of Bionicle when I see them. They're pretty iconic, and they do bring back the Mata arms in also various different colors. Heck, this is the year that introduces the Metu, dubbed Metu colors, like the Metu red, Metu blue, and green, and so on. So you do get a lot of recolors of the Mata arms, so that's really nice. I like the recolors of that. Really good for mocking. They're great when it comes to mocking, because they just have so many great colors, just in great colors and pieces, at least with the limbs. However, with the feet and the legs, because they also have the accent of just gray, like the TOA Metu, it kind of takes away some of their, yeah, you know, uniqueness and just style of character. Like, but I do like their head piece, like their elongated head, like eye brain piece, and it kind of connects into the actual head and the disc launcher. It's a really cool way they have that going. However, it is a little, like, it doesn't match sometimes with their colors. Like some of them, like, it'll be brown and blue, or it'll be green and red, or red and green. It's like some of them don't quite look right, but I still just like them. Maybe it's just nostalgia goggles looking at it, but I do like the colors, even if it doesn't match. It's kind of just a little, you know, kind of a mishap, but I still like them. And they have these new blades. A lot of them are exclusive to basically them, except for really one of them, really the blue Vaki, Bordak, I believe his name is. His blades, you do see him a couple of times after this, but I think for the rest of them, you only see, the only second time you may see a few of them are within the other sets of this year with the Titan sets. So you will see them again, but only in this year, and then after that, I don't think you see them ever again. So basically, they're exclusive only to them. But overall, the aesthetic of the Vaki are pretty good. It's pretty fun. The function is, I'll admit, gimmicky, but I do enjoy it. It's not like I hate it and it's not fun to play with. It's simple. They want to do something like the Borak, but they're not going to be like the Borak. The Borak was just far better than the Vaki could ever be. But I do like the Vaki. That's the point I'm trying to make. They are good. Just, you know, just kind of wish they had a bit more going on. Just a little bit more bulkiness, a little bit more armor, maybe. But other than that, pretty good. Now we reached the moment of truth. Now we get to talk about the Titans and see how well they are well received. I do not have Ultimate Duma. I did a review of that already, so if you're curious about my thoughts on that, then check out the video on the top right corner or just search it up, you'll find it. Now with the Titans, I think that these are actually one of my favorite Titans from the years of Bionicle. This is definitely one of my favorite in my top 3, or at least 2 of them I really like. And that would be Kreka and Nidiki. And I know a lot of people don't really like Kreka because, you know, he's a bit hollow and gappy and just a bit cumbersome to even deal with. But I personally like him. I like his design. I like his color scheme. I think he is a really cool Titan. And yes, he does use the Vaki head again, just recolored. No, it's not recolored. It's not recolored. It's just a Vaki head, and Nidiki also uses a Vaki head. But regardless, I think they have some really good designs, and just I like Kreka more than I like Nidiki actually, because I feel like Nidiki is a little too, it's a little too simple. Not intimidating. I don't think he looks intimidating enough. I think Kreka has that more intimidating look, but Nidiki not as much. But I do like the build. Don't get me wrong. I do like the build for Nidiki. It's just I think Kreka is a little bit better. Now with Turaga Doom and Nivok, I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, the color scheme is good with just like the silver, black, red, and so on with it. And I like the claws for like the talons, because that's a really nice feature with Nivok. And the wings are not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. It's okay because they do reuse. I keep forgetting the name of that Vaki, the white one. They have his wings. This is the second time we actually do see his wings, and the last time you also see those wings. But they're really good, and it's a decent build. I will say this is kind of a nitpick. Also, it is actually a con. Is the knees specifically will, over time, after so much time just kind of being in a squatting position, it will just start to bend on its own and forcibly go into that squat position. So you can't really stand up too high. Okay, enough with the side picking. Just aesthetic alone, it's a really good look. Like, I even like the feature of you can put Turaga Doom inside of, well, not inside, but just he can ride Nivok. And, you know, that doesn't happen in the story like at all whatsoever, I believe. So it's just kind of like, it just happens. It's just a feature because they had to have some play feature with it, because that's really how it works with Lego. You gotta have some kind of play feature, and I think it's good. It's nice. It's a nice compact look. It's very nice. It just really sells the set to you. It makes it look good. And with Turaga Doom himself, he doesn't have any special Turaga build like the Turaga did in 2001. He has just a regular Matoran build, or at least he has the current year Matoran build, and that's really about it. He doesn't have a disc launcher or any kind, or disc, so he kind of comes with nothing. So no weapons, obviously, because he's just a Turaga. Even though I really wish he came with a staff, but I'm getting on a side tangent. Let's move on to TOA Khan. TOA Khan is really good. Just a standard TOA build, just with some fancy shiny gold armor and these really awesome blades, like exclusive. He has, those blades are only exclusive to him. You do not see that anywhere else, I believe. And it's not even just what I believe, it's just what I know. I have never seen those blades anywhere else. And unless I am wrong, but I am confident to say that you don't see them anywhere else. Now with the Kikanalo comes with a lot of good features. Like, the color scheme is pretty simple. It's just black and gray and gunmetal even in there even. But it comes with some nice recolor pieces like the Toa Nuva armor in gunmetal. We've seen that before, but it's just nice to see it again. And then we get these recolored Roxy limbs in gunmetal. Also, I think we've seen that before. It just looks good, okay? It just looks good. It's just a really nice overall build, and it looks good. It feels imposing because it doesn't feel kind of small and wimpy like, or not so intimidating like with Nidiki or Nivok, because they're kind of small builds. But this is a $30 set. This set is $30, and you can kind of see it. Obviously with the extra TOA in there, but just with Nivok alone, it's like it's got some girth. It's definitely a lot more to it, and that's what I like to see. When I see a Titan, I want to be like, there's some girth. It's a big set. So overall, when I feel about the Titans, I say they're good. However, they could have been a bit better, like specifically with Nivok and Nidiki. I think those two really needed a bit more beefing up. And now I wanted to show a quick comparison between the TOA and their Turaga forms and just how vastly different they are from one another. And it's crazy to see that with the Turaga, their colors are not even similar to their TOA forms, because one, they have a much brighter color scheme going on, and obviously their builds are drastically different. I know obviously it's Turaga and then it's a TOA. There's like no similarities. In the movies it's a lot closer to that, but I feel like in the comics and in the actual sets there is no connection between them to tell them that they're actually the same person. They kind of look different from one another. They don't look like the same race of beings. So it's really hard to really put the connection of like, oh, these are the same characters. And obviously they want to go all out with the new year Bionicle. They want to show off these new mechanics and articulation with the elbows and knees and all this and the different colors and the darker themes, but it's just like they're supposed to be the same people, and they don't even have like the accent colors. Like they're not even as bright and colorful anymore. They're very dark and muted compared to the Turaga forms. It's really crazy, and just they look nothing alike from their Turaga counterparts. Now let's mention the very new head mold that they have created for the TOA Metu, and this will be the heads that they will continue to use in Bionicle for the rest of the series, rest of the wave of sets to come, and that is the Metu heads. And these are personally my favorites. I like the Mata ones. They're definitely classic and iconic, but these are so much better for mocking. Like this is so much better. Like they actually have head articulation. They actually have a ball joint for the head where you can connect to any piece, well, like hand connecting piece, and they actually have a neck and they can move around. And the eye sock piece is so much better. They actually just have an axle point you just stick through the head instead of it snaps into place on the Mata heads and it'll take forever to get it out. So it's a little crazy how to get that out, and you're really not supposed to, but you can if you really want to. But with these, it's a lot more versatile in ways to take it out and change it out if you so desire. However, they're actually really good. The only real bad part is they don't come in a lot of colors. Like now with the TOA Metu, they have a variety of colors. Like obviously these colors are brand spanking new for this year, and it's really nice to see. And I hate that we do not see them in later sets that uses the Metu heads, which is a lot of the sets. A lot of them use these heads, but they use the very standard colors that they're become accustomed to using, which is just the light lime green color and the orange color. Like we don't see the dark green or the dark blue or the light blue, which they're actually quite hard to find, or at least they're pretty expensive to buy on Bricklink, so I've heard. And it's just unfortunate we don't get these other colors again in other sets, because I think they could be used for various different characters. I mean, really, I think they could really go out with this, but they only use it in this wave, so we just had to get used to just lime green and orange. That's it. That's the only colors you get. Like what I did with the review for the TOA Mari, all they had was orange, and then one of the characters, I forgot which one it was, I think it was Jala, that had the lime green, but the rest of them just had orange. And it's just like we see those colors all the time. Now to change the dynamic a little bit, the Matorans of this year have the classic Mata heads. They brought them back, and they actually share the same color with the TOA Metu. They actually have the eye stock pieces in these new colors, in the TOA Metu colors, like eye brain pieces. And it's the only time you get these colors, and it's the last time I believe we see the Mata heads. I'm trying to think, and I don't think we see them in any other sets after this. So the Matorans are the last to get the Mata heads and these very unique colors. They're the only ones that have these unique colors in the Mata version. So it's pretty awesome that we get that. It just, again, would be nice to see them in other sets, but by this point, the Metu heads were coming into play, and they're just much better, but they didn't even give us the cool colors no more. They just gave us just orange and lime green, and it's not it's like you can only do so much with this orange and lime green, right? I just wish they put them in more sets. That's really my biggest complaint. Just another really fun section to look at, and we have all of the different mask colors because they are all the same mask from 2001 with the Taraga, and they're just the dual molded mask colors. And I just wanted to do a quick comparison just to show all the different colors and the way they look compared to the original Mata colors. And I would still say the Mata colors are better because I just like the more full, vibrant colors and the muted, darker colors and the silver at the top. But it is a cool look how they did that. So I don't hate them. They're really nice looking. Like, they're great for obviously mocking and customizing and just having a different variety of color masks, and mainly to mock, because that's honestly, that's how I think of when I look at some of these masks, is like, how can I mock this? How can I put this a part of a mock? And these are some great colors and ways to customize and do a crazy cool mock with, and they just look good. Of course with the Mata ones, of course, but just I think I would say with the dual molded ones, they're a little bit more, I would say, versatile to put into different mocks, because different mocks, they do use the Mata colors, but I feel like sometimes they want them with a more muted color, and I feel like the silverish color at the top and then it gets darker, it's already have a dark color, kind of can work better with certain mocks. At least the mocks I would do would probably use these darker color masks. Now we'll get to talk about the funnest part of this entire video, and that is the new gimmick, which is the disc launchers, which we've seen before. We've seen these in the slider robots, Throwbots back in the 99 or so, but they brought them back for this year Bionicle, and they're really fun to use the launchers for, so I want to show you them all. Of course the Vaki can do it, 2 of the Titans can do it, and even Fakama can do it. Poorly, might I add. Now, one of the last few things to mention is that they all have a particular gear function, because this year continues the gear function. This is one of the last years that they continue that. I think the last year they have that is in 2005, but that's for next time. For now, we have the gear function with simple Matorans and TOA and Vaki, the Titans, and they're pretty standard, subpar at best, honestly. They're not nothing special. I like the gear functions, but I don't know. I do feel like they're a little gimmicky. I get, yes, it's Lego, and Bionicle is known for that, and Lego is also known for just having just functions and functionality to do with their sets. But personally, I'm just like, I don't hate it. I'm just indifferent, or at best, I'm indifferent. At worst, I'm not the hugest fan of. So, yeah, that's my thought on it. And here we have the disc launchers, or discs, the Kanoka discs, which is the collectible of the year. This comes in all the Matoran sets. This comes in all of the Vaki sets. And you can just get some like poly bags and just other accessories just outside to get these disc and launchers. And I want to briefly talk about all the numbers and what they actually mean. So the first number on the far left means what Metu they're from. Like number 1, if it's a 1, it's from TOA Metu. If it's a 2, it's Ga Metu. 3, Po Metu. 4, Ko Metu. 5, Li Metu. And 6, Onu Metu, which you can probably tell because obviously that's the disc it is from by the symbol it's on. So you can tell by that. The second number is the more interesting one. The second number has like the abilities that it can do. So if it has a 1 in the middle, that's the number in the middle. So the middle number is it can reconstitute at random. 2 is freeze. 3 is weaken. 4 is remove poison. 5 is enlarge. 6 is shrink. 7 is regenerate. And 8 is teleport. So that middle number is, and whatever number it is, has that kind of ability, if you remember what I just said. And now for the third number, which is the easiest one to explain, which is on the far right, that is just the power level. That's just how strong the disc is. So it just displays how powerful it is. And it only goes up to 8, I believe. I thought it went up to 9. I'm not sure on that, but I believe it only goes up to, I think it can go up to 9, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think it can go to 9, depends on that. On that, it can go to 9, but the other ones, it only goes up to 8 or 6. The first number only goes up to 6, the second number goes up to 8, and the third number can go up to 9. And 9 is obviously the most powerful one, and if you can combine them all, essentially, if you have like 6 discs and they have like a level 9, and you can combine them, theoretically, obviously you can't really do it in real life, but they're supposed to combine and it will create the Disc of Time, which is like the most powerful disc to ever have. And that's how you carve or make the Mask of Time out of. It requires that kind of disc, but you have to have like the strongest discs to combine and make it and forge it. It's kind of weird how that works, but basically that's what you do. And unfortunately, I cannot show you the mask or the Disc of Time because I do not have that either. I don't have the Mask of Time, I don't have the Disc of Time. I really wish I could show it because I really like to explain it more. And the disc can glow in the dark. They actually are pretty well lit in the dark, depends how much light is shined upon them. And also, to talk about another disc, Vaki comes with a disc. He comes with his own special unique disc, no numbers, no anything like that. He just has his own unique little disc that he has to shoot, because obviously his weapon is a disc launcher, and I guess he has to have a disc to shoot. Even though I kind of wish they just gave him a standard Kanoka disc, even though I do like the design of it. They could, I know that the other Metus, I think the other TOA is going to have one, but I guess they scrapped it. I'm not sure on this. Do not quote me on this. I'm just thinking, because I remember in one of the books they will show them collecting like a disc, and it'll have like their face kind of like silhouetted on it, kind of like what Vaki's. But I think that's just, maybe that's just my stupid headcanon thinking, and Vaki's the only one in set form was supposed to get one. I don't know. So finally, in conclusion, what do I think of 2004 and all of its sets? I think this is a really solid year of Bionicle. Like, this is definitely in one of my top 3 favorite years of Bionicle. Like, it's really up there. This used to be my top tier favorite. Like, there was no other year that could compare to how good this year was to me back in the day. I used to love this year, and I really liked the designs of the TOA Metu. I really liked them, and I wish I had them back then, but I did not. I only started collecting really any of the Bionicle sets back in 2014, so that's when I actually first got the TOA Metu, was back in 2014. So that was already, ironically, the 10-year anniversary back then. That was 10 years ago. Think about that. That just tells you how old I am. But anyway, I think this is definitely a really good year, solid year. Like, there's some really good sets here. Like, I know some people are kind of like, don't really like the Vaki that much, or even the Matoran designs. You know, people don't really like the Matorans that much, and I'm like, I think they're great. But regardless, to each their own. But I think that they're really good. They're definitely solid and they're decent. And the Titans are really good. Like, I definitely like Kraken and Diki the most, and Toilet Khan and the Kikanawa are really good. Taragadum and Nivok they're okay. They're so-so. But overall, I think this is just a solid year. So to wrap this up, to give it a final score for this year, I would have to give it, I'm going to give it an 8.9, an 8.9. I think it's almost good at being a 9, but I'm going to say 8.9 because as much as I like these sets, I don't like the muted colors that much. I think they're okay, and I've gotten used to them, but I still like the Mata bright colors more. So, just to kind of put that in perspective, I don't know what score I gave the 2001 or 2 or 3. I don't even remember. So, I guess if you go by what I said for those, they might be wildly different. It might be lower than this, because regardless, this still is a good year. As long as what holds it back is the color scheme. That's really about it. But they have a lot of unique pieces, and they will see these in many more sets throughout the years. So they brought a lot to the table, like a lot to the table. A lot of articulation, a lot of colors, a lot of new molds and pieces, masks, like everything. They really kind of like elevated Bionicle in this year. Like they really stepped that game up, I believe. So yeah, an 8.9 is a pretty solid score I'll give it. So tell me yours down in the comments, because this video has been on long enough, and I hope to I don't know what I'm about to say, but I hope that if it entertain you all, I hope that you have a pretty interesting opinion about it. I mean, tell me what you think. I love to read every single comment, and thank you all so much for watching this. And join me, I guess, next year when I do 2005 overview for that 20th anniversary, which that will be next year in 2025. So I guess subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for next year. But obviously I've got videos throughout for the rest of the year. Just for the overview of 2005, I'll just say that for next year Bionicle Day. So okay, I've rambled on long enough. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will bid you all adieu.
You can discover how 6 new heroes confront the danger and protect the inhabitants from a mysterious force. They are the TOA Metu, extremely adept, powerful, equipped, and ready for any challenge. They know their duty, but can they stop this new faceless opponent? Bionicle, a mystery to be revealed. Each set sold separately.